Hi there, it's Alexia Hupin. Welcome to Wine by Alex, the show to watch to take your wine game to the next level. Today you're watching a brand new episode of Ask Wine by Alex, and I've got a question from Elizabeth. What techniques are used in winemaking and what are their results on the products? That's a pretty great question, Elizabeth. It's something you need to know to understand the type of wine you'll have in your glass. So here we go to discover the main techniques winemakers use and their effects on the resulting wines. The first techniques used by winemakers is the use of different fermentation yeast. Fermentation is the process during which sugar from the grapes is converted into alcohol, transforming grapes into wine. The yeasts that are responsible of this conversion in wine are called Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Winemakers have to choose between ambient yeast and cultured yeast for fermentation, each of them having a different impact on the wine. Ambient yeast are present on the grapes and in the winery equipment. What's good with them is that they add complexity with special aroma compounds and typicity because they come from their own terroir. They are also free to use, but they have different problems. Fermentation may be difficult to start and slow. Plus, they aren't consistent, so winemakers can't make the same style every year. That's why they also use cultured yeast. These are added to the wine before the start of the fermentation and take the place of the ambient yeast. They also produce the same style of wine, which is perfect for producers' consistency. Cultured yeast increase the speed of fermentation, and some of them are specially designed to promote certain types of aromas in the wines. The downside is that they cost money, and the wines produced are seen as industrial wines. The second technique winemakers can use is the temperature of fermentation. Temperature of fermentation have a great impact on the styles of the wines produced. The cooler the temperature and the fresher and fruitier the wine is. The warmer the temperature, the bolder and more mature the wine is. Cool temperatures are mainly used for light white wines and rosé. Mid-range temperatures are used for easy-drinking red wines, making them fruity and low in tannins, and bolder white wines typically less fruity and oaked. Warm temperatures are used to make powerful red wines, maximizing color and tannin extraction. The third method winemakers can use is the choice of fermentation vessel. There's a lot of different vessels winemakers can use for fermentation. Stainless steel tanks is the most modern of them. It's widely used because it's super easy to clean and temperature of fermentation can be perfectly controlled. They are called neutral vessel in the sense that they impart no aromas to wine and protect it from oxygen. Concrete vats were widely used before but replaced by stainless steel vats, which are way more easy to clean. They are quite making a comeback the past few years thanks to their thick walls, which makes it easy to control temperature. Wood finally can also be used in fermentation but is quite rare. They're hard to manage because it builds up fast and winemakers can't look after the cap in red wines. However, some white wines are fermented in wood. Its aromas are better integrated in the wines and small amounts of oxygen can improve them. The fourth technique that can be used by winemaker is malolactic conversion. Malolactic conversion is the conversion of malic acid into lactic acid right after the end of fermentation. To give you an idea, malic acid is similar to what you can find in green apple, and lactic acid is similar to what you have in yogurt. It typically lowers the acidity of the wine and adds aromas of butter, cream, and yogurt. This makes a softer and smoother wine. Malolactic conversion will always happen if winemaker let it do its thing. It typically always happens in red winemaking, but it isn't noticeable when you taste it. However, in white wine, these are different approaches. Some winemakers let it happen to have its characteristics and add more complexity to the wines. Some prevent it to happen because they want their wines to remain fruity and aromatic. The fifth possible winemaking technique is lees contact. First of all, what are lees? Lees are mainly dead yeast. Yes, yeast die right after fermentation because they have nothing left to feed from, since all sugar have been converted into alcohol. So they die and fall at the bottom of the vessel. They start to break down and release some compounds in the wine if they are let in contact with it. Again, it generally always happens in red winemaking but isn't noticeable. However, it's highly noticeable in white wines. Lees add body and texture to the wine, kind of an unctuous feeling. They also impart aromas of bread, pastry or biscuits. To increase the influence even more, winemakers can do lees stirring, also called bâtonnage in French. They use a rod and stir the lees into the vessels, enhancing the contact with the wine and the effect they have on it. Again, some winemakers use it and some prevent it to happen to keep their wines fruity and aromatic. The sixth technique winemakers can use is maturation. After fermentation and malolactic conversion or lees aging, if they are allowed to happen, winemakers can have a choice whether to mature or release the wine and in which vessel. Fruity and aromatic wines will generally be stored in stainless steel tanks and bottled pretty quickly. However, more complex wine will often be matured before being bottled. Again, winemakers have different choices offered. They will mainly use wood to mature the wine. This allows oxygen to enter in contact with the wine, making it evolve. Fruity aromas will develop into dried fruits and nuts, and tannins will soften with time. Wood also have a different impact on the wines if it's old or new. New wood add aromas of toast, vanilla, clove, coconut and coffee, whereas old wood will only macro-oxygenate. Finally, the size of wood vessel have a different impact on the wine. The smaller the vessel, the greater the impact on the wine. The seventh and last thing winemakers can do is bottle aging. The vast majority of wines will be released on the market as soon as they're bottled. They are made to be consumed within a year on their fruitiness. But many wines can develop with time and become more complex and interesting. These are even some appellations that specify a minimum period of bottle aging before the wines are released on the market. For example, Rioja DOCA Reserva and Grand Reserva or Chianti Classico Reserva DOCG. Of course, as the producers have to keep the bottle at their place, they have no return of investment during that time. The bottles will become expensive when they finally be released on the market. But what's happening during that time? Fruity aromas will develop into more mature ones. The tannins will soften in red wines and color will change towards brown. Well, that's all for today. I hope this helped. Now I would love to hear from you. Did you know these winemaking techniques? Have you already tried wines from all these methods? If you like this video, subscribe and share this with your friends. And if you want more awesome resources to take your wine game to the next level, come on over to winebyalex.com and make sure you get in the loop of my weekly email updates. You will also receive my free ebook where I give you my top habits on how to improve your wine tasting skills. Thank you so much for watching this episode and I will see you soon on Wine by Alex. Cheers!